In my sophomore year of high school, I was in drama. In drama that year, we were doing a rendition of Henry V by William Shakespeare. I, wanting to play an antagonist like I had the year before, tried out for Henry VI of France, the mentally unstable, old, feeble, and anxious king of France. However, I did not get that role. A couple days later, I found out I had gotten the role of Ancient Pistol. Although I had watched the movie at that point, I was not aware of who Pistol was. After asking the teacher in charge of the drama program who he was, he told me he was one of old King Henry's old drinking buddies from before he was king. I was, in all honesty, not that interested in the role. He wasn't really a protagonist or antagonist. He had no real contribution to the main storyline. Overall, he was kind of a loser. I went on practicing with the intent of doing well in the play, but not outstanding or ever really getting into my character. A drunkard thief whose only friends are other drunkard thieves just didn't sound all that interesting to me. He was just a comedic character. Pistol didn't really have anything inherently relatable about him, or so I thought. I go to a really small high school with a really good drama program. Therefore, most of the people in the school are involved with drama in some way, shape, or form. However, most people don't end up mesmerizing their lines until 1 or 2 weeks, or even a few days before, and sometimes even on the day of the performance. I was one to start around the week before. As I started memorizing, I started to be a lot more invested in my character than I was before. The more I learned about Pistol, the more I related to him and could get into character. By the performance, I was practically completely immersed into my character. I'd even added lines, no offense to Shakespeare, to make up for some confusion in wording and lack of context. The more I acted as him, the more I loved the character. Eventually, after the play, my thirst for Pistol had not ended. I did more research to find out why I had such an attraction, relatability to this seemingly stupid and pointless character. Eventually, I found my answer. Pistol is a representation of misfortune, unluckiness, the despair after losing everything. In my opinion, I believe he is one of the most unfortunate characters in Shakespeare. That was a little bit of an exaggeration. I do not actually fully believe Ancient Pistol is the most unfortunate Shakespearean character. He does not match up to the paranoid destructiveness of Macbeth, nor the betrayal Falstaff gets from a very close friend. Although I would say Pistol's in the lead for the mistreatment he gets from the universe, that would simply not be true. I do, however, believe he is a vastly underrated representation of the plain old fortune and what it means, and what it can do to a man's life. Before I explain that, however, I must explain who he is, so I'll tell you his story. Ancient Pistol is a fictional character who was probably born sometime in the 1580s. He is a dishonorable man, often called a swaggerer. He steals, he lies, he cheats, he boasts, he cusses people out, he sleeps with prostitutes, he married a woman who was engaged to someone else. Throughout his adult life, he served under Sir John Falstaff. Falstaff was a close friend of Prince Hal, who would later become Henry V. So by extension, Pistol also knew the young prince. Pistol is often seen on stage with his buddies, Bardolph and Nym, who behave similarly. As their servant, somebody called the boy, put it, "For indeed, 3 such antics do not amount to a man." Later on, he says, "They will steal anything and call it purchase. They will have me familiar with men's pockets as with their handkerchiefs." Pistol's first appearance is in Henry IV Part 2. He stumbles into the Boar's Head Tavern drunk to the disdain of the hostess, Mistress Quickly. He insults a prostitute doll Tearsheet while suggesting that they had relations the night before, and gets into a fight with Falstaff. They brawl and Tearsheet calls him a foul mouth. This is the start of Pistol's many misfortunes. There is rarely a scene where something good happens to him. This is well represented when he says to Mistress Quickly, "Si fortune me tormente, sperato me contento," meaning, if fortune torments me, hopefully I am happy. This theme of fortune is something very often brought up in his lines. He's made aware to the audience that Pistol is a braggart. He constantly exaggerates his confidence and achievements. This is a major character trait. Later, he comes to Falstaff and reports that Henry IV has passed. Sir John, believing that he would be made a noble man by his friend Henry V, rejoices. However, in a tragic twist of events and change in Henry's morals, Falstaff is banished and made to stay away from the king. As we learn later, this news that his best friend had betrayed him hurt Falstaff so much that he died of a broken heart. In The Merry Wives of Windsor, which is based before Falstaff's banished, Pistol first appears alongside Falstaff as he taunts Shallow. Falstaff then makes a plan to seduce Mistress Ford and Mistress Page. He has Pistol and Nym deliver messages to them each respectively. Fearing their reputation, believing it beneath them as soldiers, they are discontent with their being his messengers. Because of their discontentment, Falstaff gives the job to someone else and dismisses Pistol and Nym. They then plot to revenge by deciding to tell the mistresses about Falstaff's plans. After reporting it, they don't believe their stories. Although their role is minor in this play, we see Pistol and Nym get mistreated even by their own master, Falstaff. We see two of Pistol's very few successes, however. His romance with Mistress Quickly, whom he married shortly after the events of the play, and his revenge on Sir Falstaff by humiliating him. This is the last time we see Pistol succeed at anything. In Henry V, Pistol reappears as a much more major character in the play. Although inconsequential to the main storyline, the play serves as a main character arc for him. Early in the play, Pistol and his wife, Mistress Quickly, enter into a room with Bardolph and Nym. Bardolph calls Pistol the host, and he feels insulted by this to the point where he and Nym draw their swords. They fight, but eventually they calm down. After the confrontation, the boy enters and informs them that Falstaff is very ill. According to Quickly, the king had broken his heart. Later, Pistol informs all of his friends about Falstaff's death, and they all lament and praise how good a man he was. They then conclude that without Sir John to serve, they must away to fight in France under King Harry. They will steal from the French and gain honor in war. During the siege of Harfleur, Bardolph, Nym, and Pistol snuck out of the city and reflected on the brutality of war, while also not doing anything about it. Quoting the boy, "If I were in an alehouse in London, I would give all my fame for a pot of ale and safety." While they reflected on the war, Llewellyn, Welsh captain, rushes them up to the breach to fight. The boy remaining there gives a monologue about how dishonorable, wicked each of them really were. In describing Pistol, he says, "He hath a killing tongue and a quiet sword, by the means whereof he breaks words and keeps whole weapons," highlighting how Pistol constantly brags and cusses other out, but is too cowardly to ever win a fight. A while after the siege, Bardolph is caught stealing a pax from a French church, and is sentenced to be hanged. Pistol, distraught by the doom of his friend, comes to Captain Llewellyn and asks for his help. When Pistol begins to ramble about how misfortunate he is, Llewellyn interrupts him, saying, "By your patience, Ancient Pistol, Fortune is painted blind with a muffler afore her eyes, to signify to you that Fortune is blind. She is painted with a wheel to signify to you, which is the moral of it, that she is turning in an inconstant mutability and variation. And her foot, look you, is fixed upon a spherical stone, which rolls and rolls and rolls. In good truth, the poet makes an excellent description of it. Fortune is an excellent moral." Here again we see the theme of Fortune applied to Pistol, who thereafter says, "Fortune is Bardolph's foe and frowns upon him." It may be said he is referring also to himself here, as well as Bardolph, where he is feeling Bardolph's pain. Another theme we see here is how, despite his immorality and dishonor, Pistol does truly love his friends. After begging for his friend's life, Pistol is rejected by Llewellyn, who says discipline ought to be used. Pistol responds by cussing out Llewellyn and leaving. Thence, he holds a grudge against the Welsh captain. Later, we get a chance to see again Pistol's love for his friends when King Harry, in a disguise, comes upon a frightened Pistol in the night. Not realizing he is talking to his old friend, Pistol rambles about how great the king is, despite how he had betrayed Falstaff years ago. However, he stops the compliments after learning the stranger talking to him is a friend and countryman of Llewellyn. Pistol cusses him out and exits. At this point in his life, Pistol only has two people left he loves, the boy and his wife, Mistress Quickly. Falstaff died. All his other cronies had left. Prince Hal had left them and become king. Bardolph was hanged. We learned that Nym too had been caught stealing and was executed. During the Battle of Agincourt, the penultimate scene in the play, the boy and Pistol are in the battlefield, and they capture a French soldier. Pistol, using the boy as a translator, makes the soldier, Master Fur, pay him a ransom of 200 crowns. As Pistol leaves with the prisoner, the boy goes on about how empty, greedy, and dishonorable a man Pistol is. He leaves to guard the luggage, where he is brutally killed by a desperate French soldier in an attempt to turn the tide of the battle. After the battle, Captain Flellan and Gower meet an apparently confident Pistol, who, I didn't mention before, is blatantly racist against Welshmen. Pistol mocks the leek, a Welsh symbol, upon Flellan's head. In response, Flellan beats Pistol with his cudgel. He forces Pistol to eat his leek, by which he is nauseated. Flellan gives Pistol a groat, a coin worth 2 pence, leaving Pistol insulted. He cusses at Flellan one last time as he leaves. Gower scolds Pistol for his disrespect of Welsh culture, and leaves him alone on stage. Then the beaten, humbled, and angry Pistol vents his rage at Fortune in his last monologue, saying, "Doth Fortune play housewife with me now? News I have that my Nell is dead in the spittle of malady of France, and there my rendezvous is quite cut off. Old do I wax, and from my weary limbs honour is cudgelled. Well bought I'll turn, and something lean to cut purse of quick hand. To England I'll steal, and there I'll steal, and patches I will get unto these cudgelled scars, and swear I got them in the Gallia wars." Here we see this final opening up of Pistol's emotions. For all his plays, he had been an outward baggard and boastful, never showing what he felt. Now alone, the beaten Pistol gives a soliloquy, reflecting about how bad his life had gotten. First, he rages at Fortune. It's important to remember how much he has lost at this point. Henry left him, Falstaff died, Bardolph and Nym were hanged, and the boy was slain in battle. Side note, he'd also not gotten the money he was promised during the battle. Then he tells of how he learned news that his wife Nell, quickly, had died of malady of France, which essentially means that she died of syphilis. Therefore, this also means that she had an affair while he was away. I hypothesize that after learning this news, he decided to take it out on the only person he knew caused any misfortune to him, Llewellyn. But after taking a beating from the captain, Pistol had to accept that fortune was something that was out of his control. He had to accept that, although he lay there, all alone, after all his friends had died, and no one was with him, he had to lie there, where he could not shift the blame or take revenge. Instead of becoming a better person after this, Pistol decides again to turn to immorality. He says he will become a pimp, pickpocket, and in the most dishonorable part of it, says he will claim that he got scars in the war, which in reality he got them from disrespecting his captain. Ancient Pistol, despite how immoral he was a victim of the terrors of misfortune. He had no control over the terrible things that happened to him, and all his friends and loved ones. To get to my original point, how he relates to us, you may be able to see it now. The life of Shakespeare's Pistol shows us that really bad things can happen to you. You may deserve them, you may not, but fortune is a blind goddess, at least to us. We cannot predict to whom these things will happen, nor to whom they will not. Something we should learn is to not let fortune take a grasp of our lives like it did to Pistol. He was always blaming his misfortunes, holding a vengeance against those he blamed, such as Falstaff and Llewellyn. We shouldn't try to pry open the eyes of fortune, stop the wheel, try to control things that we can't control. We should rather control the things we can and live with the things that we can't. Thanks for watching this video. It's my first time making a thing on my own, a documentary on my own. It's the first time I've ever made a video that wasn't just some crappy podcast with my friends, intentionally bad. But I've been wanting to make something like this for a long time, and I kind of recently found something that I really enjoy talking about, which is, well, getting lessons from fictional characters. And I really thought this was a good example, especially since I spent 3 weeks of my life pretending to be him, So, yeah, but thanks. Uh, and sorry about the terrible mic quality and the crappy free editor. At least I'm not using Wondershare Filmora. Don't have like a 3-inch wide blue bar going across the entire screen, but you know, uh, yep. Yeah. Thanks for watching.